record. Okay. So chapter 4 is, oh, sorry, this is something. Chapter 4 is about use case analysis. So basically, this is use case, very important in order to start any project. In, to go in on third phase, which is here. So requirement determination, and then we are going over next step. So the learning objectives are, what are the purpose of, or purpose of use case in the analysis phase of the system development life cycle, parts of use case, functional requirement, test plans, and create a use case. So basically, this is under. So we are going to learn use case and use case styles today. So first, basic definition, and then we will demonstrate with the example what is the purpose, how it is used. So basically, what is a use case? Use case is how system interacts with its environment. So this is the purpose of use case, that represent how system interacts with its environment. Illustrate the activities. So it also illustrate all the activities. Those are performed by users and system responses. So basically, if you log in into the system, how it will respond, you will place an order, how it will respond, you will access some information, how it will inform. So, or you or any agent or any person or any system. So this is the purpose. Describe how an external user triggers an event to which the system must respond. So this is the use case. So each use case, one main set of activities of the system. So the slides you can go through, one main set of activities, each use case. What is the role of use cases? Clarify user requirements. What is the requirement of the user? User can be individual, can be an entity, can be system. Define the expected interaction between user and system. Use the interaction to more fully describe functional requirements. So, and used extensively in analysis phase, part of JAD sessions, joint application development. Text-based use cases are easy for the user to understand, so, and flow easily into creation of process model and data model. So it is helpful for process models and data model. Now look into the elements of use case. Basic information, name, priority, actors, description, trigger, type. So this is the basic information in use case. Preconditions, that defines the state of system must be in before the use case commences. So precondition, normal courses, the major steps, input, output, execution of the response to the event. So basically, if you are going to do use case, you have to keep all these elements in the use case expression. Post condition define the final product of use case, and expectations, error condition leading to unsuccessful results. So this is what is included in basic information. Each use case has name, number, brief description. The priority may be assigned to indicate the relative significance. It could be high priority, low priority, moderate priority, or actors refers to person or another system. Remember that it is not only the user, it could be another system or a hardware device that interacts with the system to achieve useful goals. So please focus here. We are not only about users, individual human, but also other system or other devices that interacts with the system. So here focus, actors are not only the individual people or human, but also another system or hardware. The trigger is the point or trigger for the use cases, the event that causes to use case to begin. So for example, any situation or any point from where use case to begin. It could be external or temporal. And now look into the basic information right here. If you can see this, this is a template. It starts with this way. You have to do this way. You have to first put the name, use case name, request a chemical. So this is an example that we are going to work here. Request a chemical, and use case ID number is use case number 2. So this is, and its a priority is high, low, moderate. You can decide. So basically low, high. And now look into the trigger. A lawn chemical applicator, LCA, needs a chemical for a job. So basically this is an event, this is a trigger, from where use case started. So this is a trigger point or trigger, you can say. Look into the description now. The lawn chemical applicator, LCA, specifies the lawn chemical needed for the job by entering its name or ID number. The system satisfies the request by reserving the quantity requested or quantity available and notify the chemical supply warehouse on the pickup. So you can look into the description. So when you are going to do assignment, you have to create exactly the same template. Basic information, you have to give the name of the case, ID number, priority, who is the actor, this lawn chemical applicator. You have to have trigger, you have to have description, what is the type, external, external or temporal. So and after that it is further extended here. So now after basic information, it comes to preconditions. Preconditions are the LCA identity is authenticated, which is the vendor or LCA is correct. And this is a precondition. Then only you can place the order, or you can request the order, or you can. The LC has necessary training and credentials on file, and the chemical supply data store is up to date and online. So these are the preconditions. You can go ahead with this. So these are the preconditions. Okay. Now the major steps that are performed to execute the response to the event. So these are the major steps in normal course means major steps. So normal course number 1, request a lawn chemical from a chemical supply warehouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these are the point. LCA specify chemical needed, quantity needed. The system lists chemical quantity on hand from chemical supply data store. Under this, 2 parts A and B are there. If quantity on hand is less than the quantity needed, the LCA specify the quantity he will take. And purchasing is notified of chemical shortage. If this is the situation, if there is a less than the amount it is required, this is the second part. The system gives the LCA a chemical pickup authorization from quantity requested. The system notifies the chemical supply warehouse of the chemical pickup. The system stores the non-chemical request in the chemical request data store. So these are the normal course of actions or post condition. So you can see there are three things: precondition, normal course, and post conditions. So after basic information, what is required in use cases? This is first precondition, normal course, and post conditions. What is complete when this use case ends? The non-chemical request is stored in chemical management system. Chemical pickup authorization is produced for the LCA, and the chemical supply warehouse is notified for the chemical pickup. Purchasing is notified of chemical outage. Look into here. So I'm just going to show you one, full thing. So look into this. This is simplified use case format. Here, request a chemical, UC2, priority is high, description is this, trigger is this, type is this. Then this is normal course. And so we are going to look into a few other points. Then post conditions, after post conditions, expectations. These are the error condition encounter while performing these use cases steps. So this is also another part of this. And this is not normal branches in decision logic. Sometimes system doesn't perform and it doesn't take the instruction. So these are the possible errors or possible course of errors, and that could result in leading an unsuccessful result. For example, exceptions. Chemical is no longer approved for use. The system display message, the chemical is no longer approved for use. The system asks the LCA if he wants a request another chemical or exit. The LCA asks the request another chemical. The system starts normal course again. The LCA asks to exit and the system terminates the use case. So these are the exceptions. Here you can look into the use case in sequence, how use case works in sequence. Use cases often performed in sequence. No single use case should be too large. Important to define initial and ending stage. Look into this is entire process of obtaining a chemical from here to here. Now look into this. First, precondition, post condition means. So this is first situation. This is again the precondition, post condition, precondition, post condition. Precondition, authenticate and validate credentials. First thing, request a chemical, pick up the chemical. So these are the three. Full dressed use case format. How? Very thorough, detailed, and highly structured. Adds new section including alternative course branches in logic that will also lead to successful conclusion of use case. Input, output for steps, summary, input, and output. So for example, look into full dressed use case format. Here you just think, request a non-chemical from chemical supply warehouse. So first thing, LCA specifies the desired non-chemical. Here, information for steps, chemical name or ID. System verifies the chemical is approved for use, list of approved chemicals. System displays the quantity of non-chemical in hand, quantity on hand. LCA specify the quantity needed. System asks LCA to confirm the request for the quantity needed on the quantity available. Here request confirmation. This is the system give LC a chemical pickup authorization from quantity request chemical pickup authorization. The system notifies the chemical supply warehouse of the chemical pickup notice. And the eighth step is system stores the long chemical request in chemical request database. So long chemical. Now the fifth step is further, because here if quantity is not available, then this is alternative course of action for step number 5. Quantity available less than quantity needed. So this is step 5, and this is, the system asks LCA, he wants the quantity available or cancel the request. Request quantity available here, So LCA asks to take the quantity available. The system changes the quantity request to quantity available. The system gives the LCA chemical pickup authorization for the quality available chemical pickup. The system notifies chemical supply warehouse of the chemical pickup. So this is alternative option. The system asks to cancel a request. This is cancellation. And the system terminates use case. So here you can see if the quantity is less than desired. Now you can also look into, this is a full use case format, full dressed use case format. These are the summary inputs, these are the sources, output, destination. Chemical name and ID, LCA, list of approved chemical, non-chemical data store, supply data store. Chemical quantity or hand, this is again data store. Quantity needed from LCA, request confirmation from LCA, request quantity from LCA. Output, what would be the output of this? Chemical pickup. This is for authorization. This is what is the output? Chemical pickup notice, non-chemical request, and chemical outage notice. So these are the summary inputs, these are the sources from where this is come, and this is output, and these are the destination. Chemical pickup, LCA, chemical pickup notice. So look into all these, situation. And now full dressed use case format, use the format when user are not closely engaged with development team. Project has high complexity and high risk. So, when do we use all these? When users are not closely, so that you can monitor, you can check all these steps. Test cases need to be fully described, and remote collaboration, team needed detailed share understanding. So in case of you just want to get, detailed information, and normally most of the software developers, they always do this, and organizational practices are, they always do use cases in order to better understand, in order to better have the collaboration, and a better understanding of the complex system in easy way. So this is, this is the overview of this. You can see the complete, product of use case. So this is a format that comes out after, all these. So look into the basic information. This is a basic information up to here that we already. So you have to do, and this is a summary inputs, this is a source part, this is output, this is a LCA. Here, this is a normal course structure. What is the LCA specify the desired non-chemical, and you can see the arrow from where the information is coming and going. So this is the format that is important to understand. And it requires, to be honest, a complete understanding of the system. Means without deep thinking into system, we can't do this. So if you have systems thinking, knowledge and deep thinking, complex understanding, that full complexity, we can't list out all the elements, all the, steps. We can't list out all these steps one by one. Therefore, system analyst has to have complete understanding of the business and how the business works, or he has to do a complete research in order to understand. So um, this is a use case format. And so these are the practice tips. Use gradual refinement, means don't go, pull together, just start with a step by step. Concentrate on describing users' objective in working with the system completely and accurately. Keep both audience in mind, business user and system developer, when you are doing this. And not needed, create use cases only when needed to clarify what the system must do from user perspective. So in a simple event, you don't need to do this. Use cases and functional requirements. So the use cases are useful tools to clarify user requirements. Use cases convey only the user's point of view, not including processing details behind the scenes. So this is only user requirement. This part is covered in data flow diagram, DFD. So we are going to look into that. So basically, this is transforming the user view into developer's view. So translating the user requirement to user view from translators or developers' point of view. So derived functional requirements from use cases tell the developer more about what the system must do. So use case detailed functional requirement. Example, normal course used to create more complete and descriptive functional requirements. So basically, the most effective process has 4 steps. Identify use cases, identify major steps with each use case, identify elements within steps, and confirm the use cases. So this is a very simple 4 steps process in order to do the use cases. However, again, for doing, you can identify use cases. This is challenging until you don't understand or research the complete, system or how it works. So this is, and then identify. So basically, this is requires. So here is the creating use cases. These are 4 steps. Identify the use case and activities. Start use case report from each use case. While filling the name, means you start filling the form that looks this way is the form. So for each use case, you can start doing this. Where we are, yeah. By filling in name, description, trigger, if there are more than 9 use cases, group them into packages. Ask who, what are the typical questions you have to ask? Who, what, when, and where about the use cases. So basically, these are the basic questions you have to ask about the use cases: what, when, who, where. What are the major tasks to be performed, are performed? What triggers this task? What tells you perform this task? So triggers. So basically, you can understand this basic information. Major steps within each use case. For each use case, fill in the major steps needed to complete the task. Ask how how about each use case? What information forms report do you need to perform this task? Who gives you these information formats reports? How do you purchase this report? How do you produce this report? How do you change the information on the report? How do you process forms? What tools do you use to do these steps? And identify elements within steps. For each step, you have to identify its triggers, input, output, all. How about each steps? How does the person know when to perform this step? Means all these questions one has to ask from the situation, and then you get the answer, and then you can design, you can create the use case, confirm the use case. For each use case, validates it is corrected and complete. Ask the user to execute the process using the written steps in the use case. So use case, what is required here? Basic information in this use case: name, ID, priority, description, trigger, type. Then you have to have summary input, sources, output, description, and normal course. What are the steps? So here, and these are the sequence: normal course, precondition, normal course, post conditions, and exceptions after basic information. So now here, after this, there is in the slide you have the practice thing that you can do the practice yourself and come out with, here you have the template is there, you can just fill, you can practice yourself. For example, primary actor, important level, ID, and you can see, you can practice, you can develop yourself, and then you cross check with this how accurate you are getting this. So this is the practice that you have to do yourself. Okay, and now I'm going on data flow diagram. So this is chapter 5, which is called process modeling, how you can start the process modeling. Is there any question related to use case? Because it requires a lot of practice, and there are a lot of sources online there which has example, which has sources to practice, so you can do a lot of practice. You have the book, and there's a there are some examples, so you can just do it. And if you need any help, I will be available on Thursday. If no, then I'm going on chapter number 5. So basically, we are going into process modeling, and this is chapter number 5. So basically, this is about data flow diagram, how the process works, how the data flow from process to process. So basically, this is what about rules and style guidelines for data DFD. Data flow diagram is simply referred as DFD. Describe processes used to create DFD and creates DFD. So we are going to learn this. Data flow diagram and creating DFDs. So what is the key definition? What is the process model? So basically, process model represent how a business process operates, how any business process operates. It illustrates activities that are performed and how data moves between those processes and activities. It has logical process model, describes process without suggesting how they are conducted. And physical models, process models include process implementation information. So basically what we are going to do, how business process operates and how data flows process to process. This is what we are going to learn. This is a technique for creating a process model called data flow diagram. And DFD looks like this. So the same example, lawn chemical supply, lawn chemical applicator. So this is, you can see the DFD how it looks. It goes, look into the lawn chemical applicator and see the arrows how they are going. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. D1 lawn chemical supply, D2 is chemical request, and at the end chemical supply warehouse. So look into this. This is the way the process looks like with the help of data flow diagram. Going into detail, let me go step by step. What are the elements of data flow diagram? Process, an activity or function performed for a specific business reason. So for example here, can be manual or can be computerized. It includes the following: a number, which is there, a name, a phrase of the verb, description, at least one output data flow, at least one input data flow. So look into this, the verb, number is there, you can see 2.5. One input is there, at least one input, you can see the one arrow which is going inside. At least one output data flow, so here you can see two of them are going out, which are arrow or not, but you can see a name, verb phrase. So prepare, pick up material, so this is a verb phrase, and it is also a description. So this is a basically activity or function. Data storage, store, you can see D1, D2, you can see this. In here you have D2, D1, so these are in data flow diagram where data is going to be stored or data is stored. D1, lawn chemical supply, chemical request. So next is data store, a collection of data that is stored in some way. Here, for example, D2 chemical request. And that includes the following: a number, so here a name, chemical request, description, one or more input flows, one or more output flows. So you can see here, we are not able to see output, but you can see the number, you can see the chemical name, noun, and description, and so this is data store as description. External entity, you can see this is lawn chemical applicator, this is external entity. A person, organization, or system is external to the system, has interaction with the system. So whether user, supplier, any organization or any system, they are all external entity. Has interaction with the system, they interact with the system. So lawn chemical applicator in this case is external organization or person, or who is doing the applicator, who is requesting and the lawn chemical. So here what includes in this: a name, which is there, description of the name, description, one or more input data flows. So here you can see one or more output data flows, which is not reflecting. So here you can see 4 inputs data flow. Here can be 3 output flow. So this is, what do you understand? First is process, second is data store, third is external entity, fourth, and then we go for depicting business process with DFD. So basically it's a very difficult to show all the business processes in single DFD. Therefore, so hierarchy is created with multiple levels of DFD. Multiple levels of DFD. To build the hierarchy, use decomposition. So child DFD is shown as a portion of parents DFD in greater detail. So here we look. Top level DFD is a process model. So here you can see entity A. This is a process sample information system here. Entity B and entity C. So this is a context diagram. Here simple sample information entity A, B, C, they are interacting with the system. So context diagram is top level DFD and top level process model, you can say. So shows the context in which the business process fits. It shows the overall business process and just one process. Zero process, you can look on the top. This is zero is given, which is context diagram. So all the external entities, entity A, B, C, they receive information or contribute information to the system. They interact with the system. Either they contribute to the system or they get the information from the system. And so it does not show any data stores. So here we don't see any D1, D2, D3. So this is called context diagram. And here you can see context diagram decomposed into level 0 DFD. So this is a context diagram, and this you can see 0 level DFD. There is a level 1 DFD, level 2 DFD, and this is context diagram to 0 DFD. Here you can see now. So entity 1, this is interact with process A. So simple this how in internal information system, it has 3 processes: process AA, process BB, process CC. It has 2 data storage, D1 and D2. And these are the 3 entities, entity 1, 2, 3. So this context level diagram sample information system has 3 processes: 1, 2, 3, 2 data storage, and how 3 entities are interacting with this. So this is called 0 level diagram. So sample information system has been decomposed or decomposed into 3 processes and 2 data storage. So this is context diagram decomposes into 0 level DFD. Make sure start with context, then go for 0, then go for 1 level 1 DFD. What are the things in 0 level diagram? All major processes that comprise the overall system. The internal component of processes is 0. So inside process AA, there is no internal component. Process BB, no internal component. Process CC, no. Therefore, it is called 0 level DFD or 0. Shows the major processes are interrelated by data flow. So it also indicates the interrelated of these processes ABC, AA, BB, CC, external entities and major processes with which they interact. So it also entities and major processes they interact, and it added the data stores. So what includes in 0 level? Again, major processes, how the data flows, how the data is stored, and external entity and major processes. This is 0 level diagram. 0 level DFD. Because in most of the interviews, suppose you go for information system, they ask these questions: what is the difference between zero level, uh, uh, level 1 DFD or level 2 DFD, or context diagram? Then you have to have it a very clear understanding. Uh, so processes are decomposed until each process is single purpose primitive process. So look into this. So this is level 1 diagram. Now it has been further decomposed. So look into the process AA. Process AA is step 1, process A is step 2, process AA is step 3, and to process 2. So this 1.3 goes to process 2. It gets, the process AA data is stored here. So basically this process AA further decomposed into the, other sub processes. Similarly, process BB or process CC. So this is a process BB. It gets data from D2, BB2, and it goes like this. And similarly, process CC. So this is going to further decomposed until each process is a single purpose primitive process. And this is called level 1 diagram. And here in this 1, 2, 3, here you have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Create one level DFD for every major process on the level of 0 DFD. Shows the internal processes that comprises a single process on the level 0 DFD. Shows how information moved to and fro each of these processes. The child processes wholly and completely make up the parent processes. So look into this. So this is level 1 diagram. After this, the level 2 diagram that shows all processes that comprises a single process on the level 1 DFD. Shows how information move to and fro each these processes. And there is also a possibility that it may not be needed for all the level 1 processes. Numbering each processes help the user understand where the process fits into the overall system. So process level 2 diagram is, may not be required for all the level 1, but up to level 1 is most important. So here you can see this is the balancing. After this, it comes to balancing. Ensures that information presented at one level of the DFD is accurately represented next DFD. So whatever information you are presenting at 0 level, the same accurately presented at the 1 level or 2 level. So one data flows on parent DFD are carried down to child DFD. So basically context or 0 level parent, then the next level is child. Adds new processes, new data flows. So look into the single process. This is parent, this is child. So description of the process. Text-based description provide more information about the processes than DFD alone. Case tools enable easy creation of description. So if the logic underlying the process is quite complex, more detail may be needed in the form of structured English, decision tree, decision table. So basically, if the system is very difficult, complex, and very big, then you have to have apart from DFD are not sufficient. You have to have a detailed information in text. A structured English, decision trees, decision tables. So look into process description here, look into this. So for example, process BB3 here, define types here, this description. Process 2.3 clearly written here. This is level, this is process, this is the description of the thing. So similarly, now what are the steps in order to do DFD? Build the context diagram first. So this is a context diagram. Include the system and external entities and how information flows. So inflow and outflow. So basically what first system, external entities, and how information comes in and how information goes out. So these are the first thing for first context diagram. Then we go for context diagram has to be further decompose the system, how many processes are there in the system. So identify all major process encompassed by the system. So break down this information system into what are the processes are there. Each use case major element is handled by one process. So each use case is equal to one process. Steps in building DFD: create zero level DFD fragment for each use case. Each process and level 0 DFD correspond to use case. Each level 0 DFD fragment in mini diagram showing the process. So look into the each this. This is data, this is entity, this is a process. So external entity, data store, and how the process and how the entity interacts, and these step interacts data store with the process. Organize DFD fragmented into zero level DFD. So put all these things into in zero level, how the 1, 2, 3 they interact. So you just combine, organize DFD, and then decompose each zero level into level 1. So each process and level 1 DFD correspond to group. So look into this as steps. Process A further decomposed into this. If needed, decompose each level 1 process into level 2 DFD. And validate DFD with user to ensure completeness and correctness. So basically, this is the way in order to develop the DFD. So DFD, directly flows from use cases. Each use case become level 0 DFD, and data flow in context diagram becomes some of those in the level 0 DFD plus some internal ones. So here you can see the context diagram, the entity, 0 level plus, some data storage are here. Each group of steps and use cases become level 1 DFD process. That I already explained this. Syntax error. So these are the common errors that every data flow must connect to the process, to a process. Every process must have at least one inflow and one outflow. If you don't do, there can be a syntax error. Semantics error. In the meaning of diagram, walk through diagram with users. Verify that inputs so are logically sufficient to produce output. Check for consistent levels of decomposition. Check for consistent use of terminology. So basically, these are semantic, possibilities. Now we have a practice that you have to do yourself for yourself. So these are in slides that you can do yourself. If you have any question related to DFD and use case, please let me know. And if you have any question related to exam, or as you asked me about exam, I'm going to post the study guide. You will see by tomorrow. And I'm going to post the quizzes that you can do. So any question related to anything, please let me know. Related to subject matter, please let me know. If not, I would like to say have a nice day. And
you too, have a good day.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Have a nice day.
Have a nice one, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Any question, Abdul Rahman? Mr. Abdul Rahman? Mr. Abdul Rahman, any question? I'm going to log out. Okay.